The holographic display aboard the UNSS Ascended Dawn erupted with crimson warnings as thousands of objects tore through the fabric of space-time. The massive warship's quantum sensors had detected the approaching vessels long before they emerged from their faster-than-light corridors, but Captain Sarah Chen still felt her breath catch at the sheer scale of the invasion force. "Status report," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their augmented reality interfaces streaming data directly to their neural links. 3,217 vessels detected, Captain. Lieutenant Marcus Wong reported from the tactical station. Configuration unknown, but energy signatures suggest significant offensive capabilities. They're arranging themselves into attack formations. Chen nodded, studying the strategic overlay floating before her. The alien fleet had emerged just beyond Mars' orbit, clearly expecting to catch Earth unprepared. They couldn't have been more wrong. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Wong continued. "They're preparing tow." A transmission cut through the ship's communications, broadcasting on all frequencies. The universal translator processed the alien language in real time, converting the harsh, clicking sounds into English. "Primitive species of Sol 3. The message began, arrogance dripping from every word. "This is High Commander Vexrel of the Veraki Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our dominion. Surrender now, and your species will be permitted to serve. Resist, and we will reduce your civilization to ash." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Veraki had clearly done their homework. They knew Earth's location and designation. What they hadn't realized was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over a century. "All stations, execute protocol thermoplay," Chen commanded. Throughout the solar system, humanity's defensive network awakened. Quantum entanglement communicators eliminated any signal delay, allowing for perfect coordination across vast distances. "Fleet assets responding, Captain," reported Commander Diana Martinez, her hands dancing across the operations console. "The Luna Defense Force is mobilizing. Mercury solar arrays are charging. Venus platforms are online. Mars defense grid is green." The Ascended Dawn itself was humanity's masterpiece, a synthesis of every technological breakthrough they'd achieved since the quantum revolution of 2157. Its hull was composed of self-repairing metamaterials integrated with biological components. Quantum computers worked in concert with organic neural networks. Every system had at least 3 redundancies, each operating on different scientific principles. "Open a channel," Chen ordered. "Let's show our visitors how humanity handles uninvited guests." The communication officer, Lieutenant Raj Patel, nodded. "Channel open, broadcasting system-wide." Chen stood, her uniform shifting slightly as its smart fabric adjusted to her movement. "High Commander Vexrel, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Service. I'm afraid we must decline your generous offer of servitude. The Sol system is under human protection, and we take that responsibility very seriously." The response was immediate and dismissive. "You dare to reject the Empire's mercy. Your primitive vessels cannot hope to." "With respect, Commander," Chen interrupted, "you might want to check your tactical displays." Throughout the solar system, humanity's defenses revealed themselves. The seemingly barren surface of Mercury rippled as massive solar energy collectors emerged from beneath the planet's surface. Venus' thick atmosphere lit up with thousands of orbital platforms, each housing weaponry that bent the laws of physics. The Moon's surface split open, revealing shipyards and defense installations that had been hidden for decades. And the Ascended Dawn, which had appeared to be alone, was suddenly joined by dozens of identical vessels, each emerging from quantum camouflage fields that had rendered them completely undetectable. "Impossible." Vexrel's transmission carried genuine shock now. "Our scans showed no signs of such technology. Your species is barely a century into the atomic age." "You'll find, Commander, that humanity has a habit of exceeding expectations," Chen replied. "You based your assessment on radio emissions and visible infrastructure. We learned long ago that the best innovations are often the ones you keep hidden. The Veraki fleet's formation wavered slightly. Their tactical doctrine, clearly designed to overwhelm primitive planetary defenses, suddenly seemed far less adequate. "This is your only warning," Chen continued. "Withdraw your forces immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly why humanity has survived every catastrophe our world has thrown at us. We've spent centuries preparing for threats, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. The choice is yours." For several tense moments, the massive alien fleet hung motionless against the star-filled backdrop. Chen could almost imagine the chaos on their command ships as they tried to reconcile their intelligence reports with the reality before them. "You believe your technological tricks will save you." Vexrel's voice had lost some of its confidence, but none of its aggression. "The Empire has conquered species far more advanced than yours. These defenses change nothing. All batteries, open fire. Show these primitives the futility of resistance." The space between the fleets erupted with energy as thousands of Veraki weapons discharged simultaneously. Their attack was perfectly coordinated, designed to overwhelm any possible defense through sheer volume of fire. But humanity had long since moved beyond traditional defensive strategies. "Execute quantum scatter," Chen ordered calmly. The incoming fire met a web of quantum fields that fractured space itself. Energy weapons bent along impossible angles, many returning to their sources. Kinetic projectiles found themselves emerging from their flight paths, thousands of kilometers from their targets. Some simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to energy and harmlessly dispersed. "Return fire," Chen commanded. Protocol Prometheus. The Ascendant Dawn's weapon systems activated, but they bore little resemblance to the Veraki's energy beams and projectiles. Instead, microscopically precise tears in spacetime began appearing throughout the alien fleet. Some ships found their drive systems suddenly operating at zero efficiency. Others discovered that the laws of physics had been locally rewritten, turning their own energy generation systems into temporary liabilities. By the ancestors, Vexrel's transmission was barely a whisper. "What are you?" "We are human," Chen answered simply. "And we have learned through bitter experience that survival often depends on being prepared for the impossible. You came here expecting to find an easy conquest. Instead, you've discovered something far more important: the knowledge that humanity is not prey." The Veraki fleet's neat formations had dissolved into chaos. Ships were either retreating or finding themselves unable to maintain stable positions as humanity's quantum-based warfare systems systematically dismantled their technological advantages. "Final warning, Commander," Chen announced. "The next demonstration will be considerably less gentle. Withdraw now." The Veraki response came in the form of a massive retreat, their ships desperately opening FTL corridors to escape the catastrophic miscalculation they had made. As the alien fleet fled, Chen allowed herself to relax slightly, but she knew this was only the beginning. "Lieutenant Wang, can you track their retreat vectors?" "Yes, Captain. Their FTL signatures are clear." "Good." Chen settled back into her command chair. "Because I think it's time humanity introduced ourselves to the galaxy at large, and we should probably have a discussion with the Veraki about their policy of planetary conquest." As the Ascendant Dawn prepared to follow the retreating invasion fleet, Chen reflected on the irony of the situation. The Veraki had come to Earth expecting to find primitive victims. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had spent centuries preparing for exactly this kind of encounter. Humanity was going to the stars, but not as conquerors or victims. They would forge their own path, as they always had. The quantum wake of 3,000 retreating Veraki ships carved a visible path through spacetime, a trail that the Ascendant Dawn's sensors could track as easily as footprints in fresh snow. Captain Chen studied the tactical projections as her ship prepared to make its own faster-than-light transition. "Dr. Rivera, status of the quantum fold drive?" she asked, turning to the scientist officer who had helped develop humanity's revolutionary FTL system. "Ready for pursuit, Captain," Rivera replied, her neural interface streaming real-time calculations across her augmented vision. The Veraki use a crude form of space folding. Their wake signatures are actually making our calculations easier. We can ride their dimensional ripples while maintaining our stealth field. Around them, the Ascended Dawn's hybrid systems hummed with power. Unlike the purely mechanical ships of the Veraki, humanity's vessels were a synthesis of multiple technologies. Biological computers worked alongside quantum processors. Engineered bacteria maintained the ship's metamaterial hull. Even the air they breathed was processed by a combination of mechanical filters and engineered plant life. "All stations, prepare for quantum fold," Chen announced. Lieutenant Wang. Tactical analysis of the Veraki fleet's condition. Wang's fingers danced through holographic data streams. "Their retreat was chaotic, Captain. At least 30% of their ships suffered significant damage from our quantum interference fields. They're maintaining formation, but their energy signatures suggest they're struggling with drive stability." "Perfect." Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "That'll make Phase 2 easier. Commander Martinez, is our package ready?" Martinez nodded from the operations station. "Yes, Captain. The nanite swarms are primed, and the AI clusters are fully synchronized. Permission to deploy on transition." "Granted. Let's show the Veraki why humanity stopped relying on single-solution strategies centuries ago." Chen settled into her command chair as final preparations were made. "Execute quantum fold on my mark." The view outside the bridge's quantum glass windows began to shift as space itself prepared to bend to human engineering. Unlike the Veraki's brute force approach to FTL travel, the Ascendant Dawn's quantum fold drive created a perfect bubble of spacetime, allowing for controlled navigation through higher dimensions. "Fold in 3, 2, 1, mark." Reality twisted, the stars blurring into streams of light as the ship entered the quantum fold. But unlike traditional FTL travel, the crew could still observe their surroundings through quantum-entangled sensors. The fleeing Veraki fleet appeared as bright signatures against the darkness, unaware that their pursuers could track them through dimensional barriers. "Parallel course established," Rivera reported. "We're matching their vector while maintaining quantum camouflage. They have no idea we're here." "Deploy the package," Chen ordered. Throughout the quantum fold space, microscopic points of light began to appear. The Ascended Dawn was releasing its secret weapon. Swarms of quantum-entangled nanites, each cluster guided by a specialized eye. As they spread through the dimensional corridor, they began to interface with the Veraki ship's systems. "First data streams coming in," Martinez announced. "The nanites are penetrating their hull matrices. These ships, Captain, you need to see this." Chen's neural link filled with information as Martinez shared the feed. The Veraki vessels were impressive in their own way. Massive constructions of exotic metals and energy fields. But their technology was surprisingly linear, focused entirely on brute force and overwhelming firepower. "No redundancies," Chen mused. "No biological integration. No quantum computing. They put all their technological development into a single path." "That's not all," Rivera added. "Their historical databases are accessible. The Veraki, they'd done this before, dozens of times. They find civilizations that approach spaceflight capability and subjugate them before they can develop competing technologies." The implications were clear. The Veraki Empire maintained its dominance not through superior technology, but by preventing other species from developing alternative technological approaches. Their attack on Earth had been preventative, an attempt to stop humanity's multidisciplinary advancement before it could challenge their single-path doctrine. "They didn't expect us to be ready," Wang said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "They thought we'd be like the others, focused on basic spaceflight and atomic power. They had no way to anticipate quantum engineering, biointegration, or AI synthesis." "And that's their weakness," Chen replied. Lieutenant Patel, prepare a broadcast. Let's make sure the Veraki understand exactly what they've awakened." She paused as a new thought struck her. Actually, broadcast on all frequencies, including the quantum bands. Let's see who else might be listening. The Ascended Dawn continued its parallel course through quantum-fold space, its sensors detecting increasing signs of distress from the Veraki fleet. Their ships were struggling to maintain formation as the Nunite swarms infiltrated their systems, gathering intelligence and preparing for the next phase of humanity's response. "Message ready, Captain," Paddle reported. Chen stood, her uniform adapting to her movement. "High Commander Vexrel, I hope you're finding your retreat enlightening. You should be detecting our greeting packages throughout your fleet by now. Consider them a demonstration of what happens when a species is allowed to develop naturally, exploring multiple paths of advancement rather than being forced into a single technological doctrine." The response was immediate, Vexrel's voice carrying a mix of rage and fear. "Impossible. No species could have developed quantum-scale technology without being detected. Our monitoring networks. We're looking for what you expected to find," Chen interrupted. "Conventional energy signatures, traditional space drives, the obvious paths. But humanity learned long ago that the best solutions often lie in unexpected directions. We didn't choose between biological and mechanical computing. We combined them. We didn't select quantum or traditional physics. We found ways to use both." The quantum-fold space around them rippled as the Veraki fleet attempted to shake their pursuit. But their single-focus FTL technology was no match for humanity's hybrid approach. The Ascended Dawn adjusted its course smoothly, its biological systems automatically compensating for the dimensional turbulence. "Your Empire's greatest mistake," Chen continued, "wasn't attacking Earth. It was assuming that all species would develop along the same technological path if left unchecked. You never considered that diversity itself might be the greatest strength a civilization could cultivate." Suddenly, new signatures appeared in the quantum bands, faint transmissions that didn't match Veraki protocols. The crew exchanged glances as their AI systems began analyzing the signals. "Captain," Martinez said softly, "we're picking up responses from multiple sources. Not Veraki. I think we're hearing from their subjugated worlds." Chen's expression hardened with determination. What had begun as a defensive action was quickly becoming something much more significant. Humanity hadn't just repelled an invasion. They had inadvertently sparked hope in species that had long since lost it. "Well then," she said, "I believe it's time we had a broader discussion about the future of galactic civilization. All stations, prepare for Phase 3. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can really do when challenged." The Ascendant Dawn's quantum-fold drive hummed as it prepared for the next phase of their mission. They had demonstrated humanity's defensive capabilities. Now it was time to show that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to imagine and fight for a better future, not just for themselves, but for all species who sought freedom from oppression. The Ascended Dawn emerged from quantum-fold space into a system that bore the scars of Veraki domination. 3 planets orbited a dying red star, each surrounded by massive mining installations and industrial complexes. But it was the scattered debris fields that caught Captain Chen's attention. The remnants of defensive platforms and orbital habitats, destroyed long ago. "Life signs?" Chen asked, studying the holographic display of the system. "Multiple readings from the second planet," Martinez reported, "primarily concentrated in underground complexes, detecting significant power signatures, but they're different from Veraki technology, more elegant, almost crystalline in nature." The Veraki fleet they'd been pursuing had scattered, their ships jumping to different systems in a desperate attempt to shake their human pursuers. But the Ascended Dawn had followed this particular group for a reason. Their databases had identified this system as home to the Lysani, a species whose technological development had once rivaled the Veraki's own. "Incoming transmission," Patil announced. "It's not Veraki. The signal structure is completely different." Put it through. The bridge's quantum glass windows shifted, creating a dimensional window that allowed face-to-face communication. The being that appeared was humanoid, but with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Its eyes were large and compound, like those of an insect, but they held an unmistakable intelligence. Unknown vessel. The alien spoke, its words translated smoothly by the ship's AI. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourself. Chen stepped forward. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the UNSS Ascended Dawn. We'd followed a Veraki battle group to this system after repelling their attack on Earth. The alien's compound eyes flickered with surprise. You defeated a Veraki fleet. Impossible. Their technological superiority is not as absolute as they would have others believe. Chen interrupted gently. Humanity has developed along different paths, finding strengths the Veraki never considered possible. There was a long pause as the alien seemed to study them. I am first speaker Naran of what remains of the Lissani people. If what you say is true, perhaps we should talk. Hours later, Chen stood in a vast underground chamber on the second planet, surrounded by the remnants of a civilization that had once reached for the stars. The Lissani had welcomed them cautiously, their initial skepticism giving way to hope as they witnessed the capabilities of human technology. Your approach to science is fascinating, Naran said, leading them through laboratories where crystalline computers merged with organic systems. Before the Veraki came, we were developing similar theories about the integration of different technological paths, but they struck before we could implement them fully. The chambers were filled with Lissani scientists and engineers, their work conducted in secret beneath the surface of their world. Despite generations of oppression, they had never stopped advancing, never ceased trying to find ways to break free from Veraki dominion. How many other species? Chen asked, already suspecting the answer. Dozens, Naran replied sadly. The Veraki pattern is always the same. They attack emerging civilizations, forcing them into submission before they can develop competing technologies. Those who resist are made examples of. Those who submit are allowed to exist as servants, their scientific development strictly controlled. Wang, who had accompanied Chen to the surface, studied the Lissani technology with professional interest. But you kept working, kept developing in secret, as best we could. But the Veraki monitoring systems are everywhere. Any significant power signature, any unusual energy reading, and their response is immediate and brutal. Chen shared a knowing look with her tactical officer. That's why our quantum fold technology was such a surprise to them. They were looking for conventional energy signatures, traditional power spikes. They never considered that advancement could hide in the spaces between their expectations. Your ship, Naran said, moving to a holographic display of the Ascended Dawn. It's unlike anything we've seen. The way you combine different technologies, the integration of biological and mechanical systems, it's what we dreamed of achieving before the Veraki came. And you can achieve it again, Chen replied firmly. The Veraki's power isn't based on superior technology. It's based on preventing others from developing alternative approaches. But that strategy fails the moment someone succeeds in developing those alternatives. The Lissani gathered around them, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with increasing excitement as Chen explained humanity's technological philosophy. The idea of combining multiple scientific approaches rather than focusing on a single path resonated deeply with their own suppressed theories. But the Veraki fleet that fled your system, Naran said, they'll report what happened. They'll return with greater numbers. Chen smiled. We're counting on it. Lieutenant Wang, show them what our nanite swarms discovered in the Veraki databases. Wang activated his neural link, projecting a complex network of information into the chamber's holographic systems. It showed the locations of Veraki monitoring stations, patrol routes, and command centers throughout this sector of space. The Veraki rely too heavily on their technology, Wang explained. Their systems are sophisticated but linear. Our quantum AI had little trouble extracting this intelligence during the pursuit. More importantly, Chen added, "We now know the locations of other subjugated species. The Veraki Empire is vast, but it's built on a foundation of suppressed innovation and enforced technological stagnation. That makes it vulnerable to exactly the kind of asymmetric warfare that humanity has spent centuries perfecting." Naran's compound eyes studied the tactical display intently. "You're proposing more than just resistance. You're talking about revolution." "We're talking about freedom," Chen corrected. "The freedom to develop, to innovate, to choose your own path of advancement. Humanity wasn't ready for the stars until we learned to combine our different approaches, to see strength in diversity rather than conformity. We won't stand by while other species are denied that same opportunity." The chamber erupted with discussion as the Lysani debated among themselves. Centuries of oppression had made them cautious, but the presence of the ascendant dawn, proof that the Veraki could be defeated, was awakening long-dormant hopes. "If we help you," Naran said finally, "if we share our knowledge of Veraki operations and combine it with your technology, then we show the galaxy that true advancement comes not from forcing everyone down the same path, but from letting them find their own ways forward." Chen finished. The Veraki thought they were preventing competition by suppressing technological diversity. Instead, they created the perfect conditions for a revolution they never saw coming. As the Lysani began sharing their secret developments, advancements in crystalline computing, bioreactive materials, and quantum theory that complemented humanity's own innovations, Chen knew they had found something far more valuable than just allies against the Veraki. They had found partners in reshaping the galaxy's future. The Ascended Dawn's mission had evolved from defense to liberation, but its core purpose remained the same: to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to imagine and fight for a better future for all species. The Veraki monitoring station never detected the attack coming. One moment its sensors swept the void as they have for centuries, watching for signs of unauthorized technological development. The next, its quantum crystalline core, developed in secret by the Lysani and delivered by human stealth drones, activated, sending cascading failures through its systems. From the bridge of the Ascendant Dawn, Captain Chen watched the tactical display as another piece of the Veraki Empire's control network went dark. Over the past 2 weeks, similar scenes had played out across 12 star systems as humanity's campaign of liberation gained momentum. "Status of the Centauri cell?" she asked, referring to one of the many resistance groups they'd helped establish. Martinez consulted her neural feed. The Arthani refugees successfully transmitted the biotech package to their homeworld. Their bacterial computing networks are now operating beneath the Veraki detection threshold. They'll be ready for the next phase within days. The Arthani were just one of many species now rising against their oppressors. Each brought unique technological innovations to the resistance, developments they'd been forced to abandon or hide under Veraki rule. Human quantum computing merged with Lysani crystalline technology. Arthani bacterial data systems complemented the organic processors of Earth's ships. Each combination created new possibilities the Veraki had never imagined. "Incoming priority transmission," Patil announced. "It's from the Meridian Front." The quantum glass display shifted, showing the face of Commander Yura Zhou, Chen's former first officer now leading her own liberation task force. "Sarah, we've confirmed something big. Remember those energy fluctuations we detected in the Veraki command transmissions? The ones that didn't match their known communication protocols. They're not communications at all. They're fear responses. The Veraki ships, they're partially organic. Their command structure isn't just hierarchical, it's biological. The entire empire is connected through some kind of quantum organic network." Chen leaned forward, her mind racing with implications. "They're a hive mind." "Not exactly. More like, they've engineered themselves to be biologically dependent on their imperial structure. That's why they're so aggressive about stopping diverse technological development. Their entire species is locked into a single evolutionary path." The revelation landed like a physical blow. The Veraki weren't just enforcing technological uniformity out of arrogance or cultural belief. They were desperately trying to prevent the emergence of alternatives that could threaten their carefully engineered biological imperative. That's why they attacked Earth immediately, Wang said, understanding dawning in his voice. Our multipath development isn't just a military threat. It's an existential one. We represent everything they've modified themselves to fight against. Send this data to all resistance cells, Chen ordered, but mark it as background only. We're not fighting the Veraki people. We're fighting the system that's imprisoned them along with everyone else. The next few hours were a flurry of activity as the Ascended Dawn coordinated with resistance forces across the sector. The Lysani provided crystal cores that could mask entire planetary populations from Veraki sensors. The Arthani shared bacterial computing systems that could process vast amounts of data while appearing as natural biological activity. Human quantum technology tied it all together, creating a shadow network of communication and coordination that the Veraki couldn't detect. Captain, Wang called out suddenly. Multiple quantum fold signatures detected. Massive Veraki fleet formation, at least twice the size of the force that attacked Earth. They're conducting a synchronized emergence across the sector. They're finally making their move, Chen said grimly. They must have realized they can't stop this system by system. They're committing everything to a single decisive strike. The tactical display filled with red icons as Veraki warships appeared in system after system, targeting resistance strongholds and liberation forces. But something was different about their deployment pattern. Their formations, Wang observed, they're not optimal for combat. They're positioning themselves to create overlapping fields of. His eyes widened. It's not a military operation. They're trying to establish a sector-wide biological linkage. They're going to try to extend their neural network to suppress all resistance simultaneously. Chen's expression hardened as she saw the true scope of the Veraki's plan. Alert all resistance forces. Execute Protocol Prometheus. Throughout the sector, hidden quantum transmitters activated. Crystalline processors hummed to life in secret underground bases. Bacterial computers began processing data at unprecedented rates. And aboard the Ascended Dawn, human-designed AI systems coordinated it all into a single devastating response. They thought our different technologies were a weakness, Chen said softly. They never understood that diversity itself is strength. All resistance cells initiate quantum overlay. The space between the stars lit up with unprecedented energy patterns as every piece of resistance technology activated simultaneously. Human quantum fields merged with Lysani crystals and Arthani bacterial networks, creating something entirely new. A technological ecosystem that existed in the spaces between the Veraki's rigid systems. Their bio-network is destabilizing, Martins reported. The overlapping fields of different technologies. They can't maintain their biological linkage. This isn't just a battle, Chen realized. This is a fulcrum point for the entire galaxy. The moment when we prove that the future belongs not to those who enforce a single path, but to those who dare to explore all possibilities. The Veraki fleet's synchronized attack faltered as their biological imperative struggled against the chaos of multiple technological approaches. Ships began breaking formation, their crews experiencing the first moments of true technological diversity in their species' history. Send the message, Chen ordered, to all Veraki vessels and every world in range. Let them know there's another way forward. As the battle for the galaxy's future unfolded, the Ascended Dawn stood ready to show both allies and enemies alike that humanity's greatest gift to the stars wasn't any single technology or weapon. It was the simple, revolutionary idea that true strength comes from embracing all paths of advancement, not just one. Across 1,000 light-years of space, the greatest battle in galactic history wasn't being fought with weapons, but with ideas. The Veraki fleet hung in disarray, their biological imperatives conflicting with the cascade of new possibilities flooding their neural networks. The Ascendant Dawn's quantum sensors detected the chaos spreading through their ranks, not just tactical confusion, but a fundamental questioning of everything they had been engineered to believe. Multiple Veraki ships are powering down their weapons, Wang reported. Others are maintaining combat stance, but their formations are breaking down. Their bionetwork is fragmenting into individual nodes. Captain Chen watched the tactical display with a mix of hope and concern. The Veraki weren't just an empire. They were a species that had engineered themselves into an evolutionary dead end, forcing the rest of the galaxy to follow suit out of desperate self-preservation. New transmission, Patil announced. It's different. Multiple Veraki signatures, but they're broadcasting individually, not through their command network. The quantum blast display flickered as dozens of Veraki commanders appeared, their usual unified presence replaced by distinct individuals. Their bioluminescent patterns, usually synchronized, now pulsed with unique rhythms. What have you done to us? The question came from a younger commander, their patterns showing signs of rapid adaptation. The network, the unity, we're thinking independently. We haven't done anything to you, Chen replied carefully. We've simply shown you alternatives. Your empire engineered itself to function as a unified biological network, but that was a choice, one made by your ancestors, not by nature or necessity. Another commander spoke, their patterns indicating greater age and authority. Our unity was our strength. We suppressed divergent technologies because they threatened the stability of our network. The biological imperatives were necessary for survival. Were they? Chen challenged. Look at what your enforced unity cost you. Cost the entire galaxy. You've spent centuries suppressing innovation, destroying possibilities, all to maintain a system that limited your own evolution. The tactical display continued to update as more Veraki ships broke from their rigid formations. Throughout the sector, resistance forces held their positions, their combined technologies creating a web of possibility that the Veraki could no longer ignore. Display the data, Chen ordered. Show them what we've learned about their own history. The quantum blast filled with information gathered from a dozen liberated worlds. Archaeological records, scientific databases, and genetic analyses painted a clear picture. The Veraki had once been a species of incredible diversity and innovation. Their transformation into a bio-linked collective hadn't been an evolution, but a desperate response to some ancient crisis. Your ancestors faced a choice, Chen explained. They could embrace the uncertainty of diverse development or enforce unity through biological engineering. They chose unity and then forced that choice on every species they encountered. But look at what diversity has accomplished. The display shifted to show the combined achievements of the resistance. Human quantum physics merged seamlessly with Lissani crystal technology. Artheni bacterial computing enhanced both. Each species' unique developments complemented the others, creating something greater than any single approach could achieve. You don't have to abandon your bionetwork, Chen continued, but you can choose to let it evolve, to incorporate new possibilities rather than suppress them. The very diversity you feared could be the key to your species' next stage of development. Hours passed as the Veraki commanders debated among themselves, not in the instant consensus of their network, but in real dialogue. Ships clustered into new formations based not on tactical doctrine, but on shared perspectives. The liberation forces watched and waited, ready for either peace or war. Finally, the elder commander spoke again. We remember now. In our deepest genetic memory, we remember what it was to be diverse. The crisis that drove us to unity. It was fear of our own potential for growth. We chose security over possibility. And now, Chen asked, now we see what that choice has cost us. Your species, humanity, you've shown us something we forgot. True strength doesn't come from enforcing a single path. It comes from the courage to explore many paths at once. Throughout the sector, Veraki ships began broadcasting stand-down codes, not in the synchronized manner of their bionetwork, but one by one, each crew making their own choice. There will be resistance, the young commander warned. Many of our people will fight against change. The biological imperatives are deeply encoded. Then let us help you, Chen offered. Not as conquerors or liberators, but as partners. Human medical technology, combined with Lysani crystal matrices and Arthani bacterial engineering. Together, we might find a way to give your people true choice while preserving the benefits of your neural linkage. The quantum blast display filled with new signals as ships from every species in the Resistance approached the Veraki fleet. Not in battle formation, but in a pattern that symbolized cooperation and mutual support. Look at this moment, Chen said, her voice carrying across the quantum networks to every ship and world in range. Look at what we've achieved not through dominance of one way of thinking, but through the combination of many. This is the true future of galactic civilization, not a single enforced path, but a garden of infinite possibility. The Ascendant Dawn sensors detected energy signatures changing throughout the Veraki fleet as ships began adapting their bionetworks, experimenting with new configurations that incorporated rather than rejected different approaches. It wasn't just a military victory. It was the beginning of a transformation that would reshape the galaxy. Send word to Earth, Chen ordered. Tell them that humanity's first major contribution to galactic civilization wasn't our technology or our weapons. It was something far simpler and far more powerful, the demonstration that strength lies not in enforcing uniformity, but in nurturing diversity.